Hello, my name is Jeff from Mental Health Resource.
And I'm 𝐃𝐨𝐬 with the StraitJacket Podcast. And today I have the honor of introducing our guest, 𝐬𝐮 Blue. 𝐬𝐮 has 25 years of recovery and is a musician and a business owner. Hi, how are you today?
I am very blessed. I am very blessed to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're excited to hear your story, a little bit about you growing up. You grew up in Orange County?
I grew up in Lakewood.
Okay.
Lakewood.
And then I kind of migrated to Orange County.
Okay. What part?
Huntington Beach, Garden Grove, the best parts.
I love Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
I lived in Garden Grove as well for a little bit, but Huntington Beach will always have my heart. I'm in Long Beach now, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
HB, it's just got a homey feel to it.
I grew up a border of Long Beach, Lakewood, Long Beach, Pioneer and Del Amo. Long Beach was just a little bit away, and then Huntington over here, and I fell in love with that. So
When did you move to Huntington?
probably when I was 30.
When you were 30? So
Yeah.
you spent most of your youth in the Long Beach area. Yeah. Okay. You got in a little bit of trouble over there?
Definitely, yeah. I got in trouble, and everywhere I went, I thought it was a problem, but the problem was me. First time I got arrested was 6th grade.
Oh,
Okay.
my goodness.
And I was, me and my buddy, Bobby Waldecker, were walking from wherever, and there was a big grass field, and we were throwing rocks at political signs, not knowing who, I was just, apparently the ones that I hit were the ones that supported the Lakewood County Sheriff's, or Lakewood Sheriff's Department.
Oh my gosh.
They rolled up on me, and I was like going to roll, I was going to run, and for whatever reason, I got in the car, and they took me home, and they took me to the station, and they put me under arrest and called my parents and tried to say that I did, thousands of dollars of damage in political signs. They're not like the political signs we see today. They're just a little stick, and
In a lawn?
yeah, we had a big empty grass field at the corner of Pioneer and Del Amo. Now it's condos and supermarkets, but it was just a big field that all the streets funneled into, and we would build forts and stuff out there. But it was great for political signs, so it went around that whole area, covered by 3 different, streets. And we started throwing rocks at them, and then I got caught. And I was supposed to do some restitutional damage and stuff like that. And next time I got in trouble with the police, I was 11 years old, and I was same guy, Bobby Waldecker. Sorry if you're out there, brother. But
Who was the bad influence, you or him?
oh, both of us. Yeah. He was older. I liked him because he's older, and 2 or 3 years older, and he was nice to me, and we played. But it would be like, hey, Kevin, throw a rock at the sign. Let's do it. Hey, Bobby, let's do that. And house next door to my house was Mother's Day, and the people had left the house. They had abandoned the house, and all the kids were playing in there. And they had this car. I remember it was a GTO, and somehow all the kids decided to play Squad 51. It was a game that we made up. Do you know what Squad 51 is? TV show called Emergency. That was their call sign, Squad 51. And someone was to go in there and light fires, and the others would go in there and put them out. Well, one of them smoldered and resmoldered and burnt the house down.
Oh, my gosh.
What saved us was it was a vacant house, and Bobby and I went to Artesia High School to play tennis, and it happened 2 hours later. So we were kind of like, people saw us going in and out, but it was earlier that day. But everybody knew. Mom knew. She definitely knew. My mom was tough, so.
Yeah.
So my mom was the ass whooper.
There was consequences from that.
Yeah, there was. I wasn't supposed to play with Bobby again, and it, that lasted until he went off to military school, where his dad was a World War II vet, and he, I don't know if he went to military school or he went in the service, but once he turned 18, I hadn't seen him again, and we just recently connected on Facebook.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
A little blast from the past.
Yeah.
What contributed to your delinquency?
It's all about me, because if you guys read the big book, page 63 talks about selfish and self-centeredness is the extreme. And that was me. I was selfish and self-centered. I always felt different. I always felt like my mom loved my brother best. My older siblings were angels. I remember every class that I went to, kindergarten, 1st grade on, oh, you're Billy Blue's little brother. You're going to be a joy. And by lunchtime, I was in trouble. My kindergarten teacher, probably the meanest woman I ever met at the time, her discipline would be to put me behind this piano. And she would set me back there, and she'd play the piano, and the good kids would sit out and sing, Mary Had a Little Lamb or whatever. So I'm in the process of writing a book because my wife tells me all my trauma stems from that piano. So she's like, when I'm doing something dumb, she'll be like, come out from behind the piano. So I'm calling it from behind the piano because I remember that vividly. I remember one day my sister had picked me up from school. She was in high school, and I fell asleep behind the piano. And they're like, where's little Kevin? And I was back there. Oh, I'm back here. So
Oh my god.
I got a very good long-term memory. And my pastor, at the time, Pastor Joe Fury, said that usually when you start blacking things out is where the trauma kicks in. I had a mother that loved me. I had a father that loved me. My mom she didn't play.
Yeah.
She was like, give me something to whoop you with, and it better be something good. I don't want to say she abused me, but
It's different then.
it was, when I was a kid, if somebody that didn't know me came up and told my mom I did something wrong, I'd first get an ass whooping, and they'd take their side. And she's like, well, I know you did something. And that's just the way it was. We were allowed to get spanked in school and swatted by people that didn't know us. And the parents would just say, yeah, you probably deserved it. Today, it's a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if somebody touched my kid, I'd have a problem with that. I don't have a kid.
Yeah.
My imaginary child, if you touch
Right.
them.
Well, we're that way. If someone touches our stuff, if somebody treated me the way I treated me, I'd probably, go to prison or at least to jail for fights and things like that.
Yeah.
The damage I did to myself was unruly, but the question was, where did it stem? I always felt different. I remember my brother was 10 years older than me and had 2 jobs, and he just never drank, and honor roll this, honor roll that, and I was just completely opposite. So I always felt that way. I always felt different, and as I got older, I started playing this thing called the victim role, and I was very fluent in victimese, where it was all about, my mom loves you better. And then when my parents die, all my siblings thought my parents loved me better. So I don't know what side of the street that comes from.
Right. I mean, probably just like a different perspective on that because, the kid that's acting out is the kid that typically gets the most attention. So maybe they're viewing it from that lens, you know, and you were acting out from a pretty young age.
Definitely. I love music. My parents, they supported me in that. First instrument was a clarinet. Second one was a snare drum. They didn't want to buy me a full drum set. They're like, you'd learn this and saxophone. And I went on and guitars, and just the one that I really excelled at was the harmonica. It was just a simple little 10-hole harmonica that nobody taught me on. I just kind of noodled around until I started getting better and getting better. And then nobody wanted me to sit in their band on the guitar, saxophone, drums, but harmonica, I could go places with that. Plus, it's such a small pocket instrument. I can, stumble up to a bar or jump on a stage, at a local beer bar and start jamming with the band and have my way with it.
Yeah.
And I started smoking weed at 12.
Okay.
So this is the one and only time my mom didn't, whoop my ass.
Yeah.
She basically, what she said was, I got caught that night. So it was like there wasn't even a 24-hour period of trying it, and I always thought, and this is one spot where I try to blame her for my path in life, and I had to learn in sobriety that it wasn't her, it was the way I reacted. But she said, I'd rather you do that shit at home than do it out on the street. And basically my mom, what I heard was I party at Kevin's house. So I'd bring people over, and that was my hustle at a very young age. We can go upstairs in my loft attic, and you bring weed and we get high, and that lasted from 12 to 36. So in my older using age, I would you mentioned 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. It's like my hustle was, oh yeah, I'm my parents' caregiver. And it's like, she laughed. It's like, no, dude, they're your caregiver. They're taking care of you. But I couldn't see that.
Yeah.
So that lasted till I was 36. And then I was just switching from weed to whatever, and at the end, speed was my drug of choice. If I was going to spend any of my hard-earned stolen money on it, it'd be on
hard stolen money.
Hard-earned stolen money. I had some hustles. Have you ever watched a movie by Adam Sandler called, I think it's called Uncut Gems?
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I hate that movie so much because he nailed my character.
Did he?
I just see when he tells his lies, and he's this big-time hustler, stealing things, stealing gems and jewels from other people, and getting caught in his lies. And that was kind of like me. I was just like, my old dealer said, dude, I know you're lying because your mouth's open, My mom would tell me at a very young age when I said, where did I get my caramel brown eyes? She said, well, you were born with blue eyes, but you're so full of shit that your eyes turn brown.
Right.
So, I got a mom that loved me, and I never doubted that, but she just didn't take no shit. She scared all my friends.
Do you think she enabled you in a way?
Probably only because I mistaked her meekness for weakness. She loved me undoubtedly. The best thing she did for me is before I got sober, my father just passed, and we were in a car, and I was trying to hustle her one more time. She pulled over. She reached over, opened the door, and pushed me out. And the car's still going, saying, I love you, but right now I hate you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that last tug of the umbilical string. The umbilical cord, it really hurt, but it really, for some reason, hit home. There's a movie that I love with Mickey Rourke called Bullet. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a scene where the mom is on the outside crying, looking at the baby pictures. And this I watched when I was still loaded. And I saw my mom in her eyes, and she was crying, where did I go wrong? And the dad was like, where did I go wrong? I treated you guys, New Yorkers, the three of us, I treated you so good. And I just so related. I so related, like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. My name's Kevin Blue, and in recovery, I always identify as Kevin Blue, because in the rooms before AA, I was that fucking Kevin Blue. That word was always labeled. If you lost something, I probably stole it. If something was broken, I had something to do with it. And it's just the way it was. And I don't know. My parents were good parents. My parents were scout leaders. They were married for 49 years when my dad died. I never seen them fight. So I don't know where I got this from, but I later learned out where I got this from. So this type of behavior can be hereditary. And I found out later at 55 that is a product of rape. And the guy who was, I call him Darth Vader, but the guy who's my birth father's from New York. He's Italian, so I found out I am Italian. So I started doing the hand gestures and, making up stories when I was in Italy, and my kids just laughed thinking, you dumbass. But yeah, I found out that, and I found out my real father, Billy Blue, knew and never told me. And nobody ever told me. And it would have, if they would have told me in my condition, it would have been ammo. You don't love me, or I just one more reason to drink, use, or just be an idiot.
Yeah. Do you think there was some sort of recognition as a kid, like something that you couldn't quite put your finger on, but you knew something was different?
Yeah, that's and now, because the hardest thing is that my father, Billy Blue, was the best father out there. All the kids on the street, man, I wish your dad was my dad. Yeah. We went places. He was a scoutmaster. He'd take us places and do things for us, and everybody loved him. And then the moment I found out that I wasn't Billy Blue's biological son, it broke my heart, because I just felt like that had been, the thing that hurt the most was that I'm not a Blue. I am now a 𝐶, and it hurt. And then I just realized, you know what? I have a kid. He's 32 right now. When I met his mom when she was 9 months pregnant, and I helped deliver that kid in the hospital because she's all spun out, and the nurses wanted nothing to do with her. And so I delivered this little freaking baby, have you ever seen a baby fresh born? They got like a cord sticking to them, and they're all slippery, and they just came out of a messy sack. And he just seriously shot from the table into my arms. That's my extent of delivery. But man, I fell in love with that kid. I still love that kid. And I could never understand how he felt when he found out that Kevin Blue wasn't his real dad. He always, why don't I have your last name? I can never understand how he felt till the way I found out when I was 55 that I'm in the same scenario. It's like, and the fact that he knew and he still loved me helped me not hold it against my mom. My mom did the best she could.
Yeah.
And I talked to people that knew her at that time, and they said, look, 1963, if you were raped, you were already guilty. People didn't bring that up. It's not like today.
Yeah.
Not that it still wouldn't hurt physically, mentally on the person that's being assaulted, but they're not going to mention that because then they would be. And the thing that hurts is I always would look at my father, Billy Blue's picture, and see the resemblance. And I'd be proud of that. My other brothers and sisters didn't seem to look like him as much as I did. And then afterwards, I almost like I'm looking at a different person.
Yeah.
You know, when I used to shave, I'd say the best part of shaving is seeing my father's resemblance in my face. And now that was taken from me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that I had to live with, you know, and then when you tell people, everybody is like, oh, your mom must have been a whore. And it's like, okay, dude, or you weren't there.
Wow.
I wasn't there, but thanks for, you know, it's just like I have an autistic son and people go, oh, he's not autistic. And well, thank you, doctor, for your diagnosis.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with what I know.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed with an autistic kid in my life. My
Mhm.
wife's son, Tristan, he's now 28. And he's like, you grew up in the coolest generation ever. And I go, why? He goes, dude, Led Zeppelin, David Bowie. I tell him the bands that I saw, and he thinks, you know, I'm great. I'm like, yeah, I used to think the same with my father, Elvis Presley, you know, and Jerry Lee Lewis or whoever else. And so he's a good kid. He's got his own little job in Anaheim, and he buys guitars. He sells. He told me, he goes, I make, how much you make? He goes, I make between 3 and 5 guitars a month. I go, you make? And he goes, well, I'm earning enough to buy 3. And he's always got new guitars, and he's being ADHD or being autistic, and he went to Musicians Institute. The kid rips.
Yeah.
You know, he worships Little Joe. Anything Little Joe posts, he just loves it.
Yeah.
Joe hooked him up with Schecter, got him some guitars, you know, let him pick them out, let him buy them. And it's really cool. So he likes all my friends that play music
Yeah.
because we all play the real music. You put on anything today that, you know, Metallica's probably the newest band that he's into.
Yeah. It's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Going back, you didn't find out that you were a product of rape until you were 55.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did that come about?
My wife bought me a DNA kit because
My God.
because I'm, you know, my story was I was Cherokee, Choctaw, Indian with some Irish on one side and Scottish on the other. Cherokee on one side and Choctaw on the other. So I'm, you know, how proud, you know, American Indian type thing. I got the high cheekbones and I'm looking and there's like 53% Italian. You know, that just blew me away. I saw the Irish on my mom's side. I saw the Russian, Scottish on my mom, you know, all. And the thing I started noticing was when you get matched, you start, when your DNA is set, you start getting matches. So I'm getting all these matches from my mother's line. And then I'm figuring it out. And then I see who my father is. And I had a friend of mine that works at the Veterans Administration, because this guy was a veteran, ran a thing on him. And so I got 14 siblings on DNA.
Oh, wow.
All products of rape.
Mm.
Not to mention the 4 siblings that this guy had, probably being father of the year, playing catch with his son and all this. So I got a crap load of siblings. And they're all like, I have siblings that have more blood DNA than my cousins in New Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, and this was really hard. Then I just found out, kind of putting the pieces together, what happened. And I hooked up with his son. When I say his son, this guy, we'll just say, you know, the Darth Vader guy I call, his name's Tommy, my biological father. He was older than my mother's dad. So he was an older guy. And him and my father died in the same hospital. They lived in Long Beach. And the son said, yeah, I can't believe this. And I go, dude, I don't want to believe it, but the way I understand it, DNA science, it doesn't lie.
Right.
How could it lie? How could it pair us together? And he got real butthurt and blocked us. But when you look at our pictures, we're like twins.
Mm-hmm.
We're identical.
Yeah.
And he lives somewhere in Long Beach. His sister lives 2 blocks away from me. And when they all found out that their father had all these other kids, they turned off their connections on DNA. I can still see them, but I can't converse with them. And it's not my job to track them down. You know, my wife says, well, they're missing out.
What a shitty response, though.
I get it. In his defense, I get it because I'm in shock. Okay. People want to call my mom a whore.
Yeah.
Okay. Because she, you know, had a baby with a man who fathered at least 18 people. 14 of them are, you know, how many other people are out there that aren't on Ancestry?
Yeah.
And what my friend did at the Veterans is he came from New York and he was stationed all the way down to California, and that's where his trail is.
Yeah.
His trail of tears. So I get the kid, you know, like I always think, well, he probably had the good relationship. They played catch. They did whatever, you know. He's probably just as heartbroken as I am that finding out what his father did, finding out that Billy Blue's not my father.
Yeah.
You know, I want Billy Blue to be my father. I don't care about the Indian heritage that I was supposed to get, but that really hurt. And then I learned from my son Mitchell that he calls me dad, or he calls me pops now that I'm older, but you know, I see him, he introduces me as his father. We're still in touch.
Yeah.
He knows who his biological father is. He wants nothing to do with the guy. And I said, well, that's up to you. I mean,
yeah, well, it's kind of like finding out that your father isn't your father, like on your brothers or, you know, your siblings side, they didn't know who he was.
yeah.
You know, to find out that type of information about somebody
Right.
completely destroys that image that you have of them.
Yeah, I think being sober helped a lot. If I would have found this out when I was 13 or 18 or 25, I would have used it as a weapon. You don't love me. You're not my real dad, you know, and I would have broke his heart.
Yeah.
That man died in my arms telling me he loves me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he was your father.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, like DNA doesn't really matter when it comes. Who's there?
Right.
Who's raising you?
Well,
you know?
before this all happened, I would have to argue with my son Mitchell's side of the family saying I'm not really his dad. I'm like, well, I'm the one that delivered him. I've known him 100% of his life.
Yeah.
So the other father now knows that he's the father, and it's like his response was, how many birthday presents do I owe you? And my son's like, none.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go back a little bit because we skipped over a lot of time. So you start smoking weed around 12. It's safe to smoke weed at your house. How does that progress for you?
Oh, it was fast. It was the first night was weed, beer, and Camel non-filters. And then I got caught. I got sick. I didn't really care for the beer as much. I drank beer, but the cigarettes, I thought that was the reason why I was blowing chunks. Mathematically, there was six beers and 3 guys, and I was on my 3rd beer, and they're on their 1st and telling me to slow down.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the cigarettes that made me sick, and I just never really liked them and stayed away from those nasty things. And then as time went by, I was kind of a garbage can. I wanted to be cool. You know, you read so when I was young, the magazines I read was Cream and, I forget what the other one was, but they're rock magazines.
Yeah.
So you'd see, you know, I'd open like the Leonard Skinner was one of my favorite bands, open up that Street Survivor album. I'd see these guys all just tore back, long hair. And I'm like, that's who I want to be. So I grew my hair long and I looked the part, you know, but it was funny because people who knew me, they see me come home and I kiss my parents hello and good night and have family dinners with them. And then I'd go out on the street and just be a little hellraiser. And everybody thought I was like some misfit child and nobody loved me. And it's like, that was the farthest thing. I was very loved. I never felt unloved. I might have felt like they loved somebody more than me, but the fact that I never felt unloved was just not an issue. My mom was sassy. My mom had little to no filters. She would if she didn't like you, she'd tell you, you're a little shit, you know, and to anybody, she didn't care, you know. She may not have smacked, you know, people across the lips like some other parents would do, but she would tell you.
Yeah.
And when we were little, all the parents on my street were either Korean War vets, like my father, or World War II vets. So we had a lot of houses on the street. They had little tiki lounges and bars and stuff, and we'd make our own drinks and sneak into houses and do that. That progressed, and then when I got probably 18 to 20, the music started kicking off, so I was playing with a lot of bands all over the place. I mean, I'd drive to Palm Springs if a band said I could sit in. And
yeah.
I got arrested in Palm Springs for drunk in public, and that was fun. I never got a DUI, but I got a lot of drunk in publics.
Yeah.
So,
Little dry out tank.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the funnest part about that was they took all your belongings and put them in a bag, and they zip tied you with plastic and put you on the bus, and they took a Polaroid for your booking. And I was drunk. My hair was long, you know, just long and curly. It was like all the girls would say, oh, you got the coolest hair. But when they held me, I was in a band called Split Decision, so that's what it said across the street. 2 deputies are holding me, and I'm like this, passed out with just vomit and all my hair. And I wake up, and I'm looking at this picture, and I'm like, can I have this picture? And I'm like, no, it's your booking. it's your booking picture. And 20 years later, because I never went back to Palm Springs, I got rearrested and had to go all the way back to Palm Springs, and the judge said, case dismissed.
20 years later, they arrested you on a warrant from...
Well, I got arrested in Riverside County for child support. And so while I'm in jail, that popped up. So they took me on a bus and drove me all to Palm Springs. The funny part is I ride the bus to Palm Springs, then I get in a holding cell and they do a video thing. And I'm like, couldn't we do this video thing in Riverside? But I pled guilty and they pled case dismissed. And it's just a bunch of wreckage just falling off real quick.
When was that?
1999.
Okay. So you had some years under your belt at that point. Or no?
From 12 to 36, I was partying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so when did your addiction kind of take hold of you? When would you say?
Honestly, in the very early stages, I didn't know it until after I got sober and some moments of clarity, because I would do anything and everything to get the next drug or fix.
Yeah.
At first it was weed and beer, which was easy to get. But then when I started liking, the brown sugar or other things, especially when I got into the speed, that was a whole different thing. I remember playing at a bar called the Gold Brick Bar, and my negotiation was always free drinks for the band.
Yeah.
But then I would charge the band members, oh, dude, you drank $80 worth of beer. I did. I go, yeah, those were my hustles. What a great guy I was. Plus we get cash, and he goes, all right, I'm going to give you a chunk of some speed. And I'm like, I don't really do that. So I drove to his house in Signal Hill, and this dude gave me like a softball, hardball at baseball full of speed. And after that, it was on and running. I liked that stuff because at that time I was hooked on the crack.
Okay.
And this was the only thing I ever found that took that crack Jones away immediately. The crack Jones is the worst.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's awful. You'll do anything, and it takes forever to kick off. And once I got onto the speed, I didn't feel that desperate. I got teeth knocked out over crack. I got stabbed at over crack. I got shot at over crack. I wasn't doing that with speed. And speed was probably from 28 to 36.
Okay.
I remember Bill Clinton getting inaugurated was the last day I did coke. That's probably one of my only memories in my addiction.
Is that how you got involved in crack? Was you started off doing coke and then it just progressed from there?
Somebody brought out a little glass pipe and said, try this. And then it was, the slobber coming out, and it was off and running.
Yeah.
And then I had this upstairs attic at my parents' house. So, bring some stuff and you could come up and party.
Yeah.
That was kind of my hustle.
Okay. And you did crack for a number of years.
I only did the crack for probably less than a year, 9 months straight from doing lines. I did lines all the way in high school, and it was cool. It was expensive, but once they showed me how to make it into a smoking form, then it was on.
Yeah.
And I was so thankful because I had a girlfriend at the time she said, what's wrong? I need something. I'm hurting. She said, what are you doing? I told her, coke. And she goes, well, I got this. And that line at that speed took that Jones away immediately. It was seriously like ripping off a wetsuit. It was gone. And so then I was able to get away from that. My mind was, I quit doing weed. I quit doing speed. I quit, I'd always quit doing other drugs, but I wasn't realizing that I was just jumping from one to the next.
Right.
And somebody described that as like you're on the Titanic, but you're just switching deck chairs.
Yeah.
I thought since I beat crack cocaine or heroin that, I was good. Not realizing, you beat crack cocaine, but now where are you at? You're on speed.
Yeah.
You're up 40 hours a day. So I was up all the time talking real fast, and my body didn't accept the crack. So I had abscess everywhere. I've got scars up and down my body from all the abscess and stuff. I remember one time I got arrested, and the cop had put gloves on, and he grabbed my arm, and he had some like little poker, and he stabbed it, and stuff came out. He goes, "Oh, we got an oozer." And they didn't want to arrest me because of that, and because they said I was infectious. I remember I went to the emergency room, and the lady called me a junkie, and I took offense. I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah.
I have kids. I was very delusional in that inebriated state of mind. And when I first got sober, I would say that I'm maladjusted to life. I didn't want to identify as an alcoholic. I originally started coming in and acting like I was, a diehard dope fiend or something. I want to impress you and act like I've been in prison. And the only time I've been to prison was to visit a girlfriend of mine. So it tells you how tough I was.
Yeah.
But I had the big mustache, and I had that walk where I could have my legs crossed, and I could whoop radio with the best of them. So I knew the lingo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So going from crack to speed, that was an instant changeover for you.
Instant changeover. I no longer craved the crack. I didn't crave anything after that. Even the weed, I quit smoking weed, and I always just liked the joint. And then when I got off that, I started to realize that how much I was smoking, I was always loading,
Yeah.
and it just changed. It just changed. I was very lethargic, always high, and even with crack, I'd still smoke, thinking it was cool. I forget what they call them, but you roll the speed up into the crack up into the coke up into the joint.
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites. I couldn't remember the name, but I remember I loved them.
Yeah. You said that you got shot and stabbed over.
Okay, one time I was getting crack over on 17th Street in Sherman in Signal Hill, and I was trying to sell a video recorder that was somebody else's, and this guy came over to grab it. He's like, he's going to buy it, and he tried to take it. And the guy who tried to take the video recorder owed the Samoans some money for whatever it was. And all I heard was pop, 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 pop. And this guy just, from you to me, we're this far apart holding the thing, and he let go of the thing, and they lit that guy up and killed him right in front of me. Bullets just went shoot right over me. Another dam over there. And there is on 17th and Sherman over off of PCH. It's in Signal Hills. I don't know I don't know what it's like today, but 30 years ago it was bad.
Yeah.
And I got jumped by some guys for $20, and I hid behind this Samoan kid. I could say he's a kid because he's younger, but he was one of, Samoans are majority of them are very big.
Yes.
Very big, very well fed. And I jumped behind him. They started stabbing me and him. And he took the brunt of it, but he was so big that it was like these little knives that didn't penetrate. Then he smashed them, and he looked at me, bro, you don't do that again. And I was like, okay. And then I left, and that's right about when I got introduced to the speed, and I no longer had to do that nonsense. When I drive by there, I still get those. I don't know if you know the feeling when you're in a cop and when you get dope, you want to go number 2 really bad.
Yeah.
So if I ever need to go to the bathroom, I drive by that street and I go real quick. I don't want to drive down the alleys. I seen just some crazy stuff happen there, and I just couldn't believe it. I was a good kid, born on the right side of the tracks, and loving home, and I screwed that all up.
Well, that just goes to show how much genetics do play into addiction and behavior and personality. I've talked about it before, but like there's a syndrome that like adopted kids have, that because they don't and I think it's because they don't recognize themselves in their family members.
Right.
With you got kind of half of that, but there's this feeling of like, I'm different. There's something, which means it correlates to there's something wrong with me.
Yes.
Difference never said in like the good context, so it really makes it very obvious that there's some genetic components to it.
No, I agree with you there. I definitely had the feelings like I don't fit in and I feel different, but I never had the clarification to why.
Yeah.
It was just me, I feel different. And
was it like an aha moment when you where you're like, that makes sense, when you finally found out?
Well, in recovery, you have things called moments of clarity, and I found out that there's many, many, many moments of clarity. So from that moment on to, I'm Italian. I mean, I was like, was I switched at birth? I was coming up with every scenario but the obvious one. And then over time, there was definitely aha moments. And then as I got, further away from that discovery date, looking on my phone saying you're, Italian, many moments of clarity, many aha moments, and realizing my dad did know. When I say my dad, I'm talking about my
Mr. Blue,
Mr. Billy Ray Blue, who raised me. And I found out he did know, and he didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing he ever did for me.
Yeah.
And I get what my mom did. My mom took it to her grave, and I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
I'm glad even after my dad died, I'm glad she did. Because when my dad died, she's like, your father left you money. And she gave me like 10 grand when I was like a couple years sober, and I bought like a minivan and thought it was cool. Took a bunch of sponsees around and just did. He's like, why didn't you give me this 3 years ago? Oh, you would have killed yourself. And it's like, well, thanks, Mom. Because my dad had been dead the whole time before I'd gotten sober.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I would have had money then, I would have, what do you think me and 𝐾𝐨𝐲 would be doing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
You know, go get a bunch of speed and stay at a $40 a night hotel and do our motel or do whatever. She used to love that one across from Disneyland. I forget the name of it.
On Ball.
On Ball. That was her spot.
Yeah. All right. Well, take us through a little bit of, you were on speed for 8 years.
Yeah, give or take.
How did you manage? How did you maintain that? Speed is not a drug that like you can maintain long without going to jail, in my opinion.
Well, lucky for me, 𝐾𝐨𝐲, I was her driver.
Yeah.
My dad's van was a Dodge, Pete Ellis Dodge Grand Caravan. It looked good, but by the time, Tweaky Tuscadero got his hands on it, the inside was just demolished. The outside looked good.
Yeah.
And then Mac Watkins was another dealer of mine they would pay me to drive them around. Then I had other people that couldn't get it and I could get it. And I had one guy that would give me, if I got him a pound, he'd give me an ounce of speed for my kickdown because he knew I wasn't pinching it and he knew I wasn't stepping on it. Yeah, you'd think so. But when he's buying like 3 or 4 pounds a week and I'm without dope the 5th day, because I was trying to impress the wrong people, give lines to the wrong girls and nobody paid back. And I was just always out of dope. And he just laughed at me. He's like, dude, Mac, I miss Mac. Mac was a good guy. He got sober after I got sober and we were friends at the end. And we had a little falling out in the drug, in the addiction days. And he forgave me and that made the world to me because I loved Mac because he always respected my addiction. He didn't try to treat me lesser than him. I had a valid spot in his arsenal. Like I had no problem going into one of the hustles. He'd go to one of the auto parts store and put everything up on the counter and say, "Oh, I forgot my wallet," and run out and get it. And as soon as his car lights went on, I would swoop up and grab all this stuff, throw it in the back of the truck, and we'd leave. I had no problem grabbing things that weren't mine.
Yeah.
And they were high dollar things. And so he'd pay me good, And Glenn Watkins, they weren't related, but he was another good dealer friend of mine that really took care of me. Those are some ways. And then other ways, if I did know you, Jeff, is that
Jeff.
So if you sent me to go get you something, you to get some kind of story, how I got robbed or I'm in jail, I'd collect call from the Orange County Jail, and these sounded fake, but things like those. Those were my hustles. Everybody was definitely in my way, and I would justify it, because I'm a victim. So I would justify it with speaking victimese. And one of my dealers when I did coke was Ivan, and Ivan, I ended up owing Ivan money like $80, and we were good friends, and he was Colombian and he was scary and told me he was on his way to kill me. So he said, "You better wait out front because I don't go in your house. It's not going to be pretty." So I waited. I thought I was going to be a man. I waited out front. He never came. And I found out that on his way to kill me, he died in a car crash.
Oh
What
my
the
gosh.
heck?
Yeah. So I lived in Lakewood. He lived in 𝐼rtesia. So he got on the 91 to the 605 interchange and it spun around, and he had this hoopty car that rolled over, and he had passed away, and that caught on fire and died.
What are
Sheesh.
the odds?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, dope fiend Kevin's thinking, wow, thanks God, like God's going to do that for me. I think it just happened. But I do believe to this day that he was serious when he told me, don't make me come in the house and get you because it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd wait outside like a man, and wow.
That just shows how diluted it is, though. Over $80.
Yeah.
That's what a human life is worth.
His theory was it was the principle.
I'm a principal girl, but not to
Because
that extent.
he trusted me with thousands and thousands of dollars. And then there's this discrepancy that I paid him for an 8-ball that I didn't pay him for. And he said I did, and I said I did. And we fought over that. It's like, dude, I put the money on the counter. Then the next day I put the money on your coffee table. Then the next day I handed you the money. So it's like he was just tired of it. And he's a great guy. I love that guy. I used to blame myself for that. But I'm like, things happen.
Yeah.
So, the car he was driving wasn't safe. He was driving fast. Everybody, when you got in the car, you didn't want to get in it because it always smelled like gas was leaking. So they're saying that's what happened.
Oh, wow.
When he rolled over, a spark caught, and
it just went up.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I honestly, I can't tell you how many times I went to this guy's house, and he lived in this apartment complex, and you had to walk deep in there, and it was in the middle of a zone. Now it's all high rises, but they were tearing everything down, so his was like the only apartment. And what he would do is he'd take toilet paper rolls, stuff them with dope, and then put toilet paper on each end. Sometimes poop on the toilet paper so nobody would touch it.
Yeah.
And I would see those, and I'd like, fuck yeah. I found so much of his lost dope going from his house. And his house is always tore up. And then, that $80 thing, I think he just kind of like lost it.
Yeah.
He used to be a really good dealer. And then when he got into the speed part of it, from coke to speed, then he got really sketchy. And I think it was sleep deprivation and food deprivation. And
yeah, your mind starts not working real well. You start really getting paranoid and thinking people are out to get you, and everybody becomes an enemy. And also you're just dealing with a really shady subset population.
Right.
Like everybody kind of is out to get you. Like it's each man for himself. I was pretty moral for whatever reason. Like I never felt the need to take anything from anybody else.
Right.
I could produce my own for some reason, but I was constantly stolen from, constantly taken advantage of, constantly ripped off. So you get a little tired of the game at a certain point.
Exactly.
Was that what happened with you when you got sober?
When I got sober, October 28th, 4:45 in the afternoon, I was at my ex's house, the mother-in-law of the son I delivered in Huntington Beach. And the only time I could see him was on Sundays to go to church.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Sunday, it was Friday. And I was depressed. I had no money. I'd ran out of gas again. I had this nice van that looked nice on the outside. And it was parked on Warner and Magnolia. Ran out of gas and had it in the crossing. And I went over there and I called my mom and I called everybody. It was to the point where I click call from Kevin, click call from Kevin, click call. And I say, click call from Bobby. Fuck you, Kevin, click.
Yeah.
And I just started crying. It was raining. I had a dirty white wife beater with pipe marks all over it, 125 pounds, teeth missing. And I had 2 big lumps on each side of my head from recently getting beat up by the Huntington Beach PD. My shorts, it was hot because it was El Nino, even though it was raining, it was humid. So I cut my shorts, my pants into shorts. I was a sight, I had 2 different socks on and I was crying. And I just, all I did was, I didn't realize at the time, I yelled out the best prayer I could do, and it was help. I had no stipulations, not like help me get this, help me get that. I help. And I heard a voice, I heard an audible say, get up. I thought it was like the police department, because at the house I was at, I wasn't allowed. And I got up and looked. And when I got up, I was struck sober. I was like, something happened. All my addiction, all my pain, all my jonesing, everything fell off. I looked around. It wasn't the cops. I walked to a place and asked them to. It was a restaurant. It was a not Puerto Rican. It was a El Salvadorian restaurant. And I asked them for the phone. I called my mom, and my mom came and got me. And when she came and got me, this is a day after her telling me she don't love me. I love you, but I hate you. So I got in the car. I showed her my van was. She gave me $20, and she's like, I don't care what you do, just get that van off the street. So here I am, moment of clarity again, with $20 in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Gas is 80 cents a gallon. If I put 2 gallons, then I'll definitely get home. Out of $18, I could probably go to Mac's house. For some reason, I put $2 in. I filled up I thought I was cool because I had a gas tank, a gas can that I would carry around when I ran out. One of my biggest hustles is that I'll park in a gas station and tell people I just ran out of gas and I lost my wallet, and they give me money. Well, I took this gas can, filled it up with the $2, filled up the thing, ran over to the station, And I was going to call Mac, and then for some reason I just filled up my tank, drove home, slept for 2 days. And then when I got up, I came back to the same place. And this chick, she's dead now. She's a drug addict, Mac's sister, telling her about how sober I am. How, you know, I didn't even know what the word sober meant. I'm different. I'm drug free, you know. And that was my thing. And she threw a phone book at me and told me I was messing with her high. And the phone book opened up to recovery, and I found a place called Comeback Recovery, and I called them.
Shut up.
Yeah, they took me in. I forget the girl's name, little colored girl named, I think Denise. I think she died of this addiction too. It's amazing how many people die when I go in the room and I see 40 empty seats.
Mm-hmm.
John Milan, Gabe Sherry, all the people that are dead on this, you know, God, I can't remember his last name anymore. All the people that died, there's so many empty seats. And I got into Comeback Recovery. They told me it's $125 a week. Took 2 weeks. I had to go back and get my best hustle. My mom, she's my best hostage, I'll tell you. Sat her down, told her I had a problem. She's like, shit, we knew you had a problem when you're 12 years old. But I never asked her for help. So she goes, okay, how much do you need? And my mom always had money. I don't know how she had such a bankroll, because she charged like $10 an hour to clean houses, and you know, which is nothing. But she always had a bankroll, and she'd hand it to me. Moment of clarity again. I said, Mom, if you give me that money, I may not come back with it. She goes, well, you're going to go to the recovery house. I go, I need you to go with me. Why? I go, you won't, I can explain, but you wouldn't understand. I might make her left turn when I need to make her right. So she took me, got me in there. We get in there. This nice van that I had, nice on the outside, terrible on the inside. They wanted to make me an assistant manager because they thought it was going to be a car carrier. So we're doing these meetings on the Wednesday night at the Chapman House. Bart Allen's there and all the people in the big meeting, and he's asking questions like, who's your sponsor? I want everybody to give me their sponsor's name and number. So I didn't know what a sponsor was. I mean, you watch NASCAR, what do they got? Like Texaco, Gulf Oil. I think a sponsor is somebody who's going to pay my way. So I write down my mom's name and number, and he's like, Pearl, Blue? Why do you got a woman sponsor? Oh, it's my mom. How much time in the program? Oh, hell, she's a teetotaler. And they go, she's not your, what do you mean? How is she your sponsor? Well, she's going to pay my way while I'm here. So they call her at 10 o'clock at night and wake her up. I say, are you Kevin Blue's son? What do you do now? Is he all right? He said, well, no, he's at the recovery house, but he says you're a sponsor. She goes, well, I'm going to pay any of his fees, whatever he needs. And he goes, no, you're not. And I'm like, and he's got on speakerphone. And he's like, we're in the rooms of recovery, and this man needs to learn how. He is a man, right? He needs to learn how to be sufficient, supporting of his own needs. So we will no longer accept any money from you. If he cannot come up with rent when this money's due, he will not be living here. So I'm like, man, that was harsh.
Yeah.
I had to get a job. Well, he also asked some questions like, anybody got any court dates? The time I got arrested in Huntington Beach and I got walloped on both sides, I had a court date, and I thought it was the next day. You know, I thought in my mind, I'm starting to get sober. I think my court date tomorrow was actually like 4 months in advance. So he made me go to the courthouse. They arrested me because I was crime on bail. And I spent the next 40 days in Orange County jail sober. Best thing for me.
Yeah.
So I did that. I got sober. I stayed sober. I got hooked up with a home group. My sponsor, 𝐬𝐶 Ramos, his sobriety date is June of 1990. And then I had another sponsor take me through the big book, and they asked me to find a God of my understanding. And somebody pointed out that in the big book, when it says God of your understanding, it's a capital G, not a lowercase. That's God of the universe. So I started seeking that guy today. Because you got to remember, at that time, I was uninvited to weddings and asked to not show up at funerals. Today, I'm a deacon at His Place Church.
Yeah.
And I get to perform weddings, and I get to perform funerals, and I can act as a grief counselor when needed. I'm going to a course called Toomey University. This is my third and a half year. I'm carrying a 4.2 GPA to get my master's at deity. And all this is done through the God of my understanding. I could spend hours talking about who this God is and what this God did for me. And it may not be your God. That's okay, because the big book says God of your understanding. So I'm working on what works for Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And some people find other issues, other things. A lot of people come to church and they get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get called, you Christian. Well, no, I'm actually a follower of Christ.
Yeah, me too.
And
That's how
so
I
it's like,
identify.
because I always thought, 100 years ago, we didn't have a church on every corner.
Jesus wasn't a Christian.
Well, he was a fisher of men, and that's
Yeah.
who I am today. And my job today is people will say, "Oh, you're gay. You can't be a Christian. Oh, you're this." I said, "Dude, I'm obese. I'm 260 pounds. Does that mean I don't get to go to heaven, or I get to go to heaven?" I go, all I am is a fisher of men. I'm going to let God. I'm going to introduce you to my God and let him sort you out. He's the
Yeah.
one that's going to clean and gut. It's not my job to judge, because if I judge, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to act like I'm perfect or better than anybody. All I am is I'm better than the guy I was when I got here.
And that's the only goal.
Yeah, that's the only goal. And if I get 1% better each day, bonus.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm ADHD and I have, fits of anger, outbursts at the wrong time, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's always
It's ongoing.
It's ongoing. Luckily, I married a beautiful Proverbs 31 wife that is very forgiving and can point out, but 15 years of marriage and she's never changed the locks.
Mm.
So that means a lot as well.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such an honor having you on. I have one more question for
Okay.
you. If there's anybody out there that's listening that's hopeless, helpless, lost, they're looking for a way in, what do you have to say to them?
Well, there's plenty of A's out there. AA, NA, SH, whatever, GA, whatever your addiction is. I stuck in AA for a reason, because I found a solution. I know this is the God that I love and serve. I know this much, that the devil knows my name and he calls me by my sin. God knows me by my sin and calls me by my name. So if the God Avenue works for you, jump on that. If not, a fellowship of friend. Every one of our parents have probably told us this: show me your friends are, I'll show you who become.
Yeah.
Start hanging around with people you want to be like. I stopped hanging around the drug addicts and the car, the car hustlers and things like that. And I got a life today today I'm an asset in my community instead of an ass. I got a life today when I'm walking, if somebody yells, "Hey, Hassel," it's probably not me. And I still identify as Kevin Blue, but I don't have to identify as that effing Kevin Blue.
Yeah.
So if you're hopeless or you're dopeless, no matter where you're at, reach out for somebody that's been somebody that that's been where you've been, and ask them for help.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised. Get surrounded, get the slow Eddie, an old guy in the room said that don't get picked off. Get in the middle of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I've been, even though I don't do as much AA as I've done in the last, say, 5 years, just because pandemic or whatever reason. I'm still connected. I still do things. I still go to church. I still have a lot going on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you again so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
And for anybody at home that's listening, if you or anybody that you love is struggling with mental health or addiction, please go to mentalhealthresource.com, fill out the form, and somebody will be with you to get you some help. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.